Welcome back to my channel. I'm back to tell you a few more tips about how to take a good photo using your phone. I made a part 1. If you missed it, it'll be up here. I'll link the video. I talked about lighting in the sun and in the shade outdoors using your phone. If you want to hear more about those few things, go back and watch my other video. But let's just jump right into it, shall we? Alrighty, so my first tip today is going to be figure out what kind of vibe you like and what kind of vibe you go for. Are you a smiley type of person, or are you like a serious, nobody can fuck with me kind of vibe? Because that's where also we need to start, because I find some people can do both. Some people are very more like, I want to smile in every photo, but other people, like myself, are very much like, I like high fashion, top model, Tyra Banks, smizing, you know? Let me go into this further in a different, maybe in another video I'll talk about just your face. Tip number 1 is going to be make a decision if you are a smiley person or a serious face person in your photos. Doesn't mean you can't do both, but it's helpful. Alrighty, that is going to lead us into now number 2. We are going to talk about angles. Again, I touched on angles in the first video, but not very much in depth. So what I'm going to talk about to do with the first tip is if you are a smiley person, your posing is going to be totally different. As you could probably tell if you have your favorite Instagram person and they're smiling all the time, their poses are usually very fun and open and whatever. Whereas if you're serious or you like high fashion or like runway stuff and modeling, stuff like that, you're going to see a lot more serious faces and harsh poses and lines and things like that. I'm going to dive a little bit into that now. Alrighty, now that we're here, I'll pop up a few pictures to give you some examples. A lot of the time, if you're more smiley and you want to be smiling in every photo, there's a huge variety of poses you can do as well. I'll just pop up a few beside me so you can see. I don't do too many, but I have done a few. I like doing like jumping, or just cute little things like that, or just obviously selfies or whatever. Once you know your angles, it'll be a lot easier to know, you know, oh, I like my smile from this side or from this side, or I like my serious face when I'm tilted up like this. This is one of my favorite go-tos, is when I'm tilted up and back, but requires practice and looking back on photos obviously, so that you actually know and you're not just like doing this in the photo, because we don't want that. All right, tip number 3, a big one that's really helpful is mood boarding. So you've probably heard about mood boarding for like your house or your bedroom or something like that. Well, it's very helpful as well, and what we do for photo shoots a lot of the time is we create a mood board. You go on Pinterest or just Google, whatever, and you find color schemes, specific poses, outfits, maybe even like if it's outdoors or indoors, or what kind of props that you might use for the photo shoot. That's super helpful. Go on Pinterest, make a board, and then start just searching different poses that you might want depending on what the photo shoot is for. Highly recommend creating a mood board for your shoot that you're doing, even if you're just shooting by yourself, and that's on mood boarding. Alrighty, tip number 4 is make shapes with your body. So this probably also goes along with don't stop moving. That can be an additional tip for like, let's say 5. 4 and 5 go together. This also goes back to my first tip of, are you a smiley or are you a serious? Because you want to not only your face portray the correct message, but because let's say you're doing like something more contemporary or like Vogue and you're like, I'm loving this. It's like that does not match. So you have to know your vibe with your body and with your face to match. Okay, now we're going to focus on triangles. You've probably heard this before, maybe you haven't. Triangles are huge. They just make everything look more aesthetic. They add movement, they add shape, you fill up the space more. Let me show you, for example, I could show you some pictures, or I'll just show you here. Hand on your head, on your hip. Like I said in the first video, you always want to put one foot out forward or lean on a hip, so then you have shape. You can do 2. pretend you're opening a peanut. Triangles, 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 sort of a triangle. You also want to create flow with your body, so you know, if you can make an S curve, that's why I always pop up a hip, because then you have a nice S curve to your body. That's why your legs, you always want them usually crossing over and not just straight, no matter what. Or if you like those, the whole like walking, like you're walking. I'm walking. You have movement, your arms are moving, your legs are moving, you're creating shapes. Got it? Okay, number 5, which I touched on a little bit already, was don't stop moving. Okay, this is really helpful if you have a remote trigger, you're on your own, and you want to do these walking ones. Just keep going. Just keep walking. Just pretend you're walking leisurely, you know, or go on, jump, and then go back, and take a shot. Or if you use your camera's timer function, that's super helpful if you're moving, because then you can just literally walk and it'll take all the photos, and then you can just pick which walking section you like the best. If you don't want a ton of like the same pictures, I would really recommend moving a lot. If you are sitting there and a photographer is in front of you, you cannot stop moving. You should be trying different angles, touching your face if it's close-ups. Even if it's not close-up, it'll still look good. Trying different hand positions, always different, every different angle of your face. Just literally keep moving, because they will literally keep taking photos. That is going to be the last and final tip. I think this one will be a little bit quicker than the last one, because I went like super in detail a little bit more. So those are my 5 tips. Part 2 of how to take a good photo for this summer outdoors with your iPhone. See you in the next video.